Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mega Man 3, or, well, welcome back to Mega Man in general, but welcome for the second time to Mega Man 3. This is quite the important game to the series, as it introduced a certain character, and as well as having a plot that would be relevant for years to come throughout almost all the games going forward. Which is a shame, because this game doesn't have an intro to explain that. It's only ever explained in the manuals that what the game's story is. So I'll just give a brief Cliff Notes version for this. Essentially, after Mega Man 1 and 2, after he had been defeated so horribly, Dr. Wily, sort of came to his senses, and decided to work with Dr. Light instead of against him. And so together, they start working on a massive peacekeeping robot to essentially take Mega Man's job so he can go back to being a lab assistant. And this massive peacekeeping robot is called Gamma. The thing is, Gamma is so big that no energy on Earth can power it. So instead, they turn to the stars and begin mining asteroids with a new set of robot masters, a new set of 7 robot masters that they built together. At the same time, Dr. Wily discovered Proto Man, the first original prototype for the robot masters and Mega Man's older brother. He does not tell Dr. Light about this, because, to spoil the twist, Dr. Wily isn't exactly a good guy this time. No, he's still his old self, and instead of bringing Dr. Light's long-lost son back to him, he decides to use Proto Man and his rage as a weapon against Mega Man. In secret, of course. But we'll get into that more later. For now, let's just jump right in. So this game is kind of interesting as far as weapon weaknesses go, in that rather than having one wheel in the way that, Mega Man 1 and 2 did, more so Mega Man 1, Mega Man 2 didn't really have a wheel so much as everything is weak to Metal Man. But rather than that, we have 2 wheels that sort of run concurrently. So in one, we have 3 robot masters that are weak to each other, and in the other, we have the other 5. Sort of interesting that they did that. It's a design choice that I don't really understand and am not personally fond of, but it does add some sort of... It makes it a little less linear. You can sort of choose which wheel to jump into first. And for us, we're gonna start with Snake Man. So Snake Man here, as I said, the plot sort of goes a little bit into space, not too much. I don't think there are many, if any, levels explicitly set in space. But with the concept of mining asteroids, a few robots had to be built for that purpose. Snake Man is one of those robots. He is basically an extraterrestrial geological surveillance robot. He was made to be lithe and agile to be able to basically fit into any sort of crack and crevasse and spelunk anywhere he needs to explore in space to find all those good materials. His level here is probably the easiest in the game, but is home to a couple strange things in this remake, namely the little snake heads. In the NES game, they take only 2 hits. And it's kind of the same in this, but if you shoot them too fast, or something, I haven't really found the pattern yet, but if you shoot them too fast or something like that, they'll end up taking 3 hits, which is... It's weird that it's inconsistent, that they have any amount of iframes when they usually don't. Aw. Those will carry random items. Sometimes you can get really lucky and have like an E-tank or a 1-up, but in my experience, most of the time, they are usually just weapon ups that you don't need. And we saw this mini-boss already, but it's a very simple pattern. Doesn't move or anything. You would think the moving floor would pose some kind of issue, but it takes up so little of the screen that you can just stand on the far end and jump over the bullets. So it's really easy to get through that mini-boss. Oh, okay. Buddy was not having a good day. Come on, there we go. I really like this part of the level. I really like this version of the level, honestly, because it was kind of nondescript in the NES version, mainly just like, oh, it's snakes. It's the snake level. Everything is snakes. But in this version, like, I still don't know exactly what kind of building it is. Maybe it's like a weather surveillance plant or something, but it's clearly a pre-existing building that has just been taken over by Snake Man's army of massive robot snakes. And I think that's really cool. Oh, okay. Snake Man himself has a pretty simple pattern. He will just run back and forth, jumping over the middle there, so as long as you stay in the middle, you can jump over him whenever he comes by, and just keep on shooting at him. And eventually he'll go down. Oh, I could have sworn I pressed the jump button, but that's fine. And we are not gonna have a repeat of the first Mega Man 3 playthrough. I swear on my life, I will defeat Snake Man first try. And his little search snakes, they crawl up walls, and they're very cute, and I want a plushie of a search snake. Capcom, you can make thousands of dollars off of just me buying thousands of search snake plushies. And we are still not saving. And next we are heading for Top Man. Top Man not actually the next in the order, but Search Snake makes a couple parts of his stage a little easier, and he's probably the easiest boss in the large circle to take out Buster only. So, pretty good second stage. Very good music. Yeah, I've got my problems with this game, but the soundtrack is on the bottom of the barrel on that list. So, Mega Man has a new friend this time around. See, I've turned red, and the weapon screen kind of spoiled it, but we have Rush. He is a little dog, and he can morph his body to be many things, which we will see throughout the game. But starting out, you only have Rush Coil, which is just a spring. For some reason, he's blue in this version on the weapon screen, even though he's still red in the game. So it's like, I don't know. All the weapon icons are blue in this version of Mega Man 3. It wasn't like that on the NES. On the NES, they had their own color palettes, but for some reason here, they're just all blue, and I don't understand it, and I don't really like it, but it's not like it ruins the game or anything, it's just a very strange design choice. Visual design choice. Top Man, I got too focused on the weapon wheel and didn't talk about his purpose. Top Man is another space exploration robot meant to use, at least, this isn't necessarily confirmed, but it's what makes sense to me. The fact that he's a space exploration robot is, but this coming part is headcanon. I believe that he uses the rotation of the tops against the ground to, like, vibrate the ground a little and, like, basically do, like depth charges, but without the explosion. Just, like, get a vision of what is down there through the vibrations. Through the way they vibrate, which, I don't know. That's not confirmed by any means, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense scientifically, but it's what makes the most sense to me. It's the only reason I can think of why he'd be a top outside of a video game gimmick. Very simple pattern. He will stand on one side of the screen, throw out 3 homing tops, and then spin to the other side. He is invincible while he's spinning, so you can only shoot him when he's on one side. You can't shoot him in transit, but other than that, there's not really much challenge to this fight. Oh, I forgot about the Proto Man thing. I know I was very quiet for a long time, but I got caught up with my drink while I was menuing there, and then I didn't want to cut off. I didn't want to interrupt the excellent music of this stage because it is one of my favorite themes in the series. Like, Shadow Man has a really good stage theme, but as for what he does. Remember how I said Dr. Light and Dr. Wily built 7 Robot Masters together? Shadow Man is the 8th. He was not built by Dr. Light or Dr. Wily. Instead, he was discovered by either Dr. Wily himself or robots working for Dr. Wily and repaired. What's interesting is that the material his body is made from cannot be found anywhere on Earth. And what's further, in some sources, he was discovered on one of the very asteroids that was being mined out for its resources. Makes you think on what he is. I should not have waited. I should not have hesitated. I should have just gone for it. But yeah. The Archie comics would actually expand on that by making Shadow Man what is called I believe a Kuiper droid, named after the Kuiper belt, I think. I've never been great with pronunciation, so I'm pretty sure it's Kuiper, but I don't know. The Kuiper, but yeah, before being found by Wily, in the Archie comic continuity specifically, Shadow Man was a Kuiper droid built for basically extraterrestrial war by the Star Droids, who we'll get into much later, and charged with the protection of their technological supercomputer god, Ra-Moon. Sort of connecting all the alien elements of Mega Man into one thing, which was very cool. And I really wish it continued it long enough to get to that, because it was really cool what they were setting up. Gemini Man here. I couldn't find any purpose listed for him, to be honest. Even in, like, supplementary material, it's always very vague what he's for. Maybe he's just meant to be kind of a leader type, just sort of running things in the background, keeping things under control, while, you know, Snake Man and Top Man do the actual exploring, and robots get out there mining and stuff like that. I don't know. All any wiki or supplementary material I've seen actually shows him doing, or states that he was built to do, just, you know, he just does clones. His job is clones of himself via hard light holograms. Hey, thanks, bro. Yeah, I still don't know why he does that in this game. Like, just from a narrative perspective, maybe it's just because, like, my favorite version of Proto Man is the Archie Comics version, so that kind of colors my perception of his character, and he definitely does not want to help Mega Man at all at this point in the Archie Comics, but I don't know. I can't reason with myself why he would do that. It's very strange, which I assume is the point. It's meant to, you know, keep the mystery up on who Proto Man really is and whose side he's really on. Penguin mini-boss here, very annoying, but not particularly difficult. Why are you here, even? This isn't an ice level. It's a weird, like, H.R. Giger meat level. Full of eggs and veins. You know, the more I think about it, the stranger this level is. Like, what is any of this? That's what we just saw there when I jumped Rush Marine onto solid ground there and Mega Man got out. That is actually a change for this version of the game. In the NES version, Rush Marine would stay out and Mega Man would stay in, and you would just have to kind of awkwardly hop your way back into water, which had pros and cons to it. Ultimately, I prefer that way, but that might just be familiarity, just because I've played the NES version so much more than this, so that's where my muscle memory is. I actually want to keep out Surge Snake. Well, I'm probably gonna die first. I probably take one hit and then I'm dead. How many lives do I have compared to E-Tanks? Okay, yeah. I would rather take the death than use an E-Tank, so... with lives like that. But yeah, so Gemini Man here will jump around in circles and shoot when you shoot, and then once you kill one of the clones, he jumps when you shoot. So you have to kind of work around him and the beams he shoots that bounce off the walls. It's a pretty interesting fight, all things considered. Another fantastic song, but I'm not going to be silent for 30 plus seconds just to let you listen. You can look it up. You have YouTube. I love the theme of this level because it's just completely... It's just such a non sequitur. Like, Needleman is a mining robot made to mine out asteroids. And so his level is a ship in a shipyard with a city in the background? So, yeah, it's a little strange. And a little hard in this first volley, opening section. Ah! Oh, man. A really interesting obstacle here. These spikes come down in set intervals, so you gotta, like, time your movements to get past them. I might die to the Hottie Harry. Nope, I'm good. I live forever. Nope, I don't live forever. No. Okay, we're good. And that's why I record these things live, because that's fun. And I wouldn't have screwed up like that if I was just silently playing and then doing all my commentary afterward. Yeah, Needleman's death in the Archie comics is brutal. Like, one of the saddest moments in that entire comic. I'm not gonna go into detail because there's a lot to it, but it is phenomenally written. One of my favorite moments in one of my favorite comics. It is crazy how much it makes you feel for a character who otherwise barely exists. Like, I don't think Needleman ever shows up in a game after this, outside of the museum in Mega Man and Bass. And with that, the smaller 3-person, 3-robot master weapon thing is done. There's Snake on Gemini, Gemini on Needle, and then Needle is strong to Snake, so that's the smaller weapon order done. Now in the larger 5-robot one, we go from Shadow Man to Sparkman. A little interesting design quirk on Sparkman. Typically, on top of his head, he has a, you know, I don't actually know what that thing is called, but it's like where a battery connects to a battery pack. I don't know. But, you know, it's this little charging power thing. Whereas in this version, specifically, and only this, it's a light bulb. He's got a light bulb in his head. And it's just a very interesting interpretation of his design that I would have liked to see in more detail. Like, I would like to see that drawn. Maybe I'll draw a little artist's interpretation and put it in post. But Sparkman, pretty standard purpose for an electric robot. He was just made to generate power and regulate power for the ships and various mining equipment that would be used for the asteroid mining. Pretty typical for an electric robot. Like, generally speaking, if there's a robot whose power is electricity, they are some kind of generator or regulator, or they work in a power plant, or whatever. In my playthrough of the NES version of this, I erroneously stated that this room runs very slowly in Wily Wars. As you saw, it does not. I don't know where I got that idea. Maybe it does. Maybe it runs super slowly on real hardware, and I had recently played the Wily Wars Collector's Edition. I don't know, but no, the Genesis handles that room just fine. So I don't know what I was on about. Shadow Blade here. Not a invincible uppercut, unfortunately. It is instead a sort of nerfed version of Metal Blade. It shoots in only 5 directions. You can shoot it horizontally or any vertical direction. And it, instead of having full screen range, it just comes back to you after a certain amount of time. But, even nerfed, it's still a variant on Metal Blade. Still very strong. And Spark Shock, which we just got, is hands down the worst weapon in the game. Many people will tell you it's Topspin. I strongly disagree, because Topspin, for as weird and backwards and not useful as it is situationally useful. Which isn't great, but at least it's something. What Spark Shock does, I'm not even gonna show it because it's actively detrimental. You can shoot 1 at a time, maybe 2 at a time, and instead of doing any damage whatsoever, it just stuns enemies in place, which would be great if you could then switch to another weapon, but this is an NES, now Genesis game. This is before you could switch to another weapon while one was active. You just have to sit there and wait, or just run past. Like, it is... Outside of the, 3 bosses who are weak to it, it is an utterly useless weapon. I do not know what they were thinking when they programmed Spark Shock into this game. Yeah, you see those batteries there with the RW? Those are the one sign in this entire game of Dr. Light and Dr. Wily working together. That's all you get. That's the story. You want some lore? Here's some batteries. Hope you like it. I haven't gone into what Magnet Man does, not out of forgetting, but more out of, I don't know. He's another one like, who was it that I just talked about, a few minutes ago? I don't know, but the point is, he doesn't have any kind of stated purpose. He's just magnets. He's just magnets. His job is magnets. checks in at the 9 to 5 and magnets for a while. And then he goes home to his magnet wife and his magnet kids, and he magnets with them. Yeah. Not a lot to say about that guy. He looks really cool in Megamix, though, or Gigamix. And on to Hardman, another robot who doesn't really have any kind of stated purpose, but I can at least, unlike with Magnet Man, I can at least kind of fathom what he was built for. Gemini Man, that's who it was when I couldn't figure out what. Anyway, I can at least kind of fathom what Hardman might have been built for, and my interpretation has always been that he's kind of like a living steamroller. He was made to flatten ground and you know, make things tighter packed for foundations and such. Probably useful in like the building of space stations where they would conduct their mining operations. Very good version of this song. So, a little behind-the-scenes knowledge. I don't really listen to the game music when I'm just doing my practice runs, because in a lot of cases I've listened to these songs so many times that they're just ingrained into my skull, but, like, I haven't listened to these versions of these songs many times, and so I didn't realize that this version of Hardman's theme was so fun. Like, I'm a major Genesis sound chip defender, and I think this is one of the reasons. Like, this is a really good rendition of Hardman's theme. Probably my least favorite Proto Man arena here. I feel like, I don't know. It's not that much harder than the others, but it's just kind of annoying fighting Proto Man in uneven ground. Alright, I say it wasn't that hard, and yet I'm having a really hard time dodging, which is weird. I've never taken that much damage fighting Proto Man in any of my practice runs. You can kill those, it takes a long time, so I think it's faster to just, it's much more convenient to just slide under. Because that's an ability you have in this game. I haven't really gone into it. If you hit down and jump at the same time, you will slide, and that's how it is for most games going forward. You can slide to shrink your hitbox a little and go a little faster. What makes Hardman interesting as a boss here is that the magnet missile will home in on his fists as they shoot out, so you have to really like time your shots. Otherwise, he's a pretty simple boss fight. He just shoots his arms out and jumps around. Alright. And with that, we should be on to Wily. Gotta get through this menu and... What? Who is this? Alright. On the next episode of Mega Man 3, we'll take on whatever this new challenger is. See you then.